Hello, I am Name-Hemant Kumar, registration number 21bme1122. This is the digital assignment 3 for metal casting and welding. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai branch from the SMEC School of Mechanical Engineering Core. This PPT is under Professor Dr. Narayanan R. Today I will be explaining you some of the main points involving in metal casting as well as in welding. First, we will see what is metal casting. Metal casting is a manufacturing process that involves pouring molten metal into mold, which then solidifies into specific shapes. The process begins with the creation of pattern, which is used to make the mold. After making the mold, it is very specific to ensure that the molten metal is poured into the mold very perfectly. To ensure that, we have to maintain a perfect gating system, a design for a gating system, and the sprues to maintain that. Metal casting is used to produce a wide range of products from simple shapes like screws and bolts uh, to complex components for engines and other machines. It is a versatile and cost-effective process that can be used to produce high volumes of parts with consistent quality. However, the different processes requires specialized equipments and personnel and skilled operators to ensure that the final products meet the required specification. As metal casting involves many types of problems as shrinkage and many defects which can be only be taken care by specialized workers. Hello, I am Name-Hemant Kumar, registration number 21bme1122. This is the digital assignment 3 for metal casting and welding. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai branch from the SMEC School of Mechanical Engineering Core. This PPT is under Professor Dr. Narayanan R. Today I will be explaining you some of the main points involving in metal casting as well as in welding. First, we will see what is metal casting. Now I will take care of the gating system, which is very much important in a metal casting to ensure a perfect metal which we will produce. Gating system for a gray cast iron housing involves the design of the channel and the gate that are used to direct the molten metal into the mold cavity. During casting, the design of the gating system is critical to the quantity of the casting, as it affects the flow of metal, the rate of solidification, and the distribution of heat and gas in the mold. The rate of solidification is also a very crucial component to decide the microstructure and the properties of the molten metal. In general, the gating system for gray cast iron consists of sprues, runner, and gate. The sprues of main channel that connects the pouring basin to the runner system, which is the network of channel that directs the metal into the mold cavity. The grate is a small opening that connects the runner to the mold cavity. It is designed to control the flow of metal to prevent the turbulence and the splatter caused while pouring the molten metal. There are several factors to consider when designing a gating system for gray cast iron housing. Now I will switch off my video to make sure that all the content is visible. Including the size, the gating system design is taken care by many factors, including the size and shape of the casting, the type of casting processes and the alloy being used. For example, the design of the gating system will be different for sand casting versus investment casting, and it may be necessary to use multiple gates to achieve an even distribution of metal, which is very much important when we are molding a bigger component. Other consideration for gating system designs include the use of riser, which are additional channels used to feed metal into the mold cavity to compensate for shrinkage, which is a very major problem when we go to mold a gray cast iron product which is larger in size. Or should I say that gray cast iron have the main problem is of shrinkage. And the location of gating system relative to the parting line, which is the boundary between the two halves of the mold. Now, hello, I am Name-Hemant Kumar, registration number 21bme1122. This is the digital assignment 3 for metal casting and welding. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai branch, from the SMEC School of Mechanical Engineering Core. This PPT is under Professor Dr. Narayanan R. Today I will be explaining you some of the main points involving in metal casting as well as in welding. First, we will see what is metal casting. We will see the process involving in thermite welding. This process is under the topic of welding in the same course. What is thermite welding? Is the main question comes when we talk about the thermite welding. Thermite welding is a type of fusion welding that is commonly used to join railway tracks, pipelines, and other large metal components. Fusion welding is a term when the metal which we are going to join is melted while the welding. Whereas non-fusion welding as friction welding is the process where the metal is not melted at a high temperature. It is also known as aluminotonic welding, exothermic welding, or thermite welding. There are many names for that. The thermite welding process involves a chemical reaction between a powdered mixture of aluminium and iron oxides, which produce a large amount of heat. This heat is used to melt the end of the two metals components that are being joined, and the molten metal is then allowed to solidify to form a stronger bond. Hello, I am Name-Hemant Kumar. Registration number 21bme1122. This is the digital assignment 3 for metal casting and welding. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai branch, from the SMEC School of Mechanical Engineering Core. This PPT is under Professor Dr. Narayanan R. Today I will be explaining you some of the main points involving in metal casting as well as in welding. First, we will see what is metal casting. Now we will go and see the processes which are involved in thermite welding. The steps involved in the thermite welding are as follows. First is preparation. The two metal components that are to be welded are first cleaned and aligned to ensure that they fit together properly. Cleaning is very necessary before a welding because many types of oxides can be formed on the surface of the metal, base metal, which can cause difficulty in welding as the oxides have a very high temperature for a very high melting point. Because of that, both of the metals will not be fused together perfectly. Mold preparation. A special mold is then prepared around the two metal components, leaving a gap at the joint location. The mold is usually made of refractory material and is designed to withstand the high temperature and pressure involving in the welding process. The mold is prepared so that both the metals are at the same place and it doesn't move during the process. Charge preparation. A measured amount of thermite mixture is then placed into the mold and a small amount of ignition powder is added to start the chemical reaction. This chemical reaction is used to produce the high temperature which is needed in fusion welding. Reaction. The chemical reaction produces a large amount of heat which causes the metal in the mold to melt and form a pool for molten metal. The molten metal flows into the gap between the two metal components that fills any void or imperfection in the joint. After the pouring of the molten metal, we have to go to the solidification process. The molten metal is allowed to cool and solidify, forming a strong bond between the two metals component. The excess metal is then removed and the joint is finished to required specifications. Thermite welding is relatively simple process that produces high quality, strong welds. It is commonly used in applications where other welding methods are not suitable, such as in remote locations or in areas where power is not available. However, it requires specialized equipment and training process to ensure that the welding process is performed safely and efficiently. As I say, that these are the processes under the metal casting and welding which are mostly and very used in very vast places, as they are very simple to do. As we see in thermite welding, it is used relatively very for very for the metals which are having a very high melting temperature. By this slide, I want to thank you for listening to the presentation I presented. So I want to thank my professor for helping me. Thank you. Hello, I am Hemant Kumar. Registration number 21bme1122. This is the digital assignment 3 for metal casting and welding. I am from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai branch, from the SMEC School of Mechanical Engineering, Core. This PPT is under Professor Dr. Narayanan R. Today I will be explaining you some of the main points involving in metal casting as well as in welding. First we will see what is metal casting.